Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Tenchi Muyo GXP Paradise Starting Episode 2. So this episode starts with Tsukiko just outside her house sweeping up, and then all the girls that came to Earth with Sena arriving, because they sort of split up in the first episode with Sena coming to Tsukiko's house, with the rest going to Tenchi's house. And we get a lot more of the girls that came with him in this episode. Right out the bat, though, I'm left with a question, and it's obviously probably answered in the GXP novels, but I don't know. So, Miki sees Tsukiko and calls her mom, and I have no idea why. I don't know what the relationship there is, and it's not even really hinted at all. Just that she calls her mom. So, I don't know. One of my favorite things about this entire episode, and it's like a small thing that most people won't care about, I really like how much like Duel is in this, right? I like Duel Parallel Trouble Adventure. I have seen that show 4 times through. I watched that after I watched all the Tenchi stuff that was available when I got into Tenchi, and I love Duel a lot. So having Duel characters or like analogs to Duel characters, right? Like, I forget exactly how they explained it here in this episode, but they talk about how they're basically reincarnations of those characters, kind of like, what is it, their astral something is the same. So we have Miki, who is Mitsuki Sanada. We have, I don't remember the other girls' names. Fuku's Yayoi, D is D. I don't remember who the green-haired girl is that is supposed to be Mitsuki Rara, but the little bit that we get with them and all the voice actors coming back for that to like voice them is great. Like Dee's voice actress, I don't think has done anything in years, but she came back and that was a lot of fun. Getting a kind of an explanation of like where they come from. Not all of them, because like Miki and the green-haired girl and Fuku are all new characters that have, again, this astral something, like a soul. They share the same soul as the Duel characters, whereas D is specifically stated in this to be the one from that show, and that show takes place like billions of years ago in an alternate dimension. Cool. It's silly a little bit, but I like that a lot. I like Duel a lot, so having these characters here and just hanging out is great. And even getting like a throwback to the curry stuff, like D really liking curry, was a lot of fun. So pretty much everything about the Duel stuff in this I loved. The rest of the episode's okay. We get some more explanation on magic, and it's not sticking with me at all. Something called a spirit line, which, if I understand right, is basically an invisible like connection to your magic, I think. So Sena like makes a little earth appear in his hand, right? Like it's like the size of a baseball, and it's just like a projection of earth, and it's like flying around. And I think how they were explaining it was like the spirit line is the thing that's connecting that magic to him. I don't know. Like all the explanations for the magic is really just going in one ear and out the other, and I'm not really following it, and I don't know why they're really breaking it down so much, because I don't know if it's going to be relevant in the future. So yeah, we talk about that. We get a return party for Sena with all the women of Masaki Village, and they're just sort of like hanging out, eating and celebrating and drinking and stuff. And then the old lady, whose name I can't remember, I'm pretty sure she's the one that owns the inn that gets destroyed in OVA 1. She basically sits everybody down and talks about what they're going to be doing here on Earth for the time being, or in the future too, because Sena and everybody's going to be settling into the village, and we get a bit more discussion about how the village is changing, how they're cutting themselves off more from the outside world, and how they're going to be sort of hiding behind like doing experimental like farming or something like that. Discussion of where Sena is going to live is brought up, and it's mentioned that Katsuhito brought up letting them live near Tenchi, which is something that happened in OVA 4 or OVA 5. So that would have happened after this. And I don't remember if it was OVA 4 or 5. Those two shows sort of blend together for me. But that's something I kind of forgot about, and then it was brought up here, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to move in nearby. So we get a little bit of discussion about that. Then the old lady and Tsukiko have a conversation that's basically just the old woman being like, go on, you gotta get in there, you gotta get Sana while you can, or else you're gonna be left behind, or something like that. The whole Tsukiko Sana thing still isn't really clicking for me. I think a big problem, well, one, I haven't read the novels, so, like, they haven't had any moments together where I'm like, yes, she needs to be in Sana's harem too. And if you've watched my stuff for a while, you know I'm a stickler for harem endings. Like, if you're going to introduce a love interest in a harem, I want them all in, because having a specific winner kind of kills it for me. I don't want a bunch of characters to get bad endings. A problem with GXP for me, though, is, like, Sana's harem has gotten so big, I don't even know all the characters because I can't follow the novels, and they keep introducing more. So, like, I'm talking about how I like all the stuff with the dual characters. Like, they completely outshine Tsukiko in this whole episode. Yet Tsukiko is sort of pushed to the forefront as, like, the main female character of this set of, like, this OVA series. So these next 4 episodes, they really got to work on making me care about her, kind of. Like, she's fine, I don't got a problem with her. I just don't need her currently. What else do we got? Okay, the thing that threw me off the most in this episode. So, they're all staying with Tsukiko now to sort of just to live there while everything's getting arranged. So they get, like, a little cat tree for all the dual equivalent characters, right? Because they can all turn into Cabbits. I know why Fuku can. I don't know why the other girls can, but they can. So they get, like, a little cat tree for them to nap in. And they just start speaking English. And it completely threw me off, because I don't think ever, maybe that's not in the main series thing, I think maybe in the Pretty Sammy spin-offs, ryo-ohki can speak English, or Japanese. But it's just bizarre seeing something other than, or, like, hearing something besides meows come out of their mouth. So yeah, that's, like, whole section, like, the whole, like, I got used to it, but, like, at the start when Fuku started talking in Cabbit form, it completely threw me off. We get a bit of explanation about Sana's luck. Like, we know that from the show. Apparently, since the Renzo arc, it's gotten worse, and the girls somehow, it's not really explained how in this episode, but the girls need to be around to sort of help keep it under control. And there's even mention that, like, his luck has an effect on, like, a much greater range now as well. So we get a little talk about that, because at this point in these 2 episodes, I don't think there's been any bad luck yet, except for the 2-second clip in this where, while he is sleeping, pens fall and get sprung at him while he sleeps, and he just sort of moves out of the way. So we got that, talk about his bad luck. We also get another Tsukiko still basically at the end of this conversation, because there's a bunch of talk about, like, are you going to marry Sana too, this and that, and how Kiriko's, like, the main one, and we have 30 girls in the harem right now, but it still feels like there's something missing. And Tsukiko basically, for the time being, just says, like, I gotta make up my mind quick, or somebody's going to make it up for me. And that's basically it with Tsukiko. The rest of this episode is just exploring sort of how Masaki Village works, which is interesting, but also it's normal. So we see the characters farming. They're, like, picking vegetables and stuff, and then they're, like, wrapping vegetables and putting stickers on them so they can be sold, and it's like, yeah, that's how agriculture works. So it's cool that we're seeing a bit more of Masaki Village and it's being fleshed out, but also it's, like, so just normal that I don't really know why it needed to be. I guess sort of, like, them getting settled into being here and working as a part of the village is important, but I don't know, it seems a bit silly. We get some interesting talk about Sasami in this. So Seina's family store has grown massively. They're doing produce and stuff, farming, but they're also looking to do manufactured like foods and stuff. So, what is his sister's name? Yoshiko, I think. She's been hanging out with Sasami, and they're like pals now. Um, and they're just like baking and baking and baking. And there's even a scene in this where Seina comes back from visiting the Tenchi house with some snacks from Sasami, and it's just like tons and tons and tons of like cakes and stuff. And then after that, we get like a brief Seina and Tenchi just sitting under a tree chatting. We get a bit more info about Sasami and how I forget exactly what Tenchi says, but basically like yeah, she was taking care of the house the whole time. She doesn't really have friends, so her and Yoshiko have been getting along pretty good. And Seina's just sort of like hoping she isn't causing any issues, but her and Sasami getting along good. That's nice. And then the episode ends with Jovia coming back. I still don't like Jovia, and this episode was really good because she was not in it. I find her annoying. She is apparently, like, as has been explained kind of in these episodes, she is a Japanese person who died and got reincarnated on Renza. She came back here with Seina and went to visit her home and apparently blew her cover. And that's sort of the end of the episode, where she says, yeah, I went back to where I live, and yep, I blew it, I messed up. And then that's the end of the episode. I haven't liked Jovia since she appeared in, I think, OVA 5. I find her kind of annoying. So having her basically be absent this whole episode was a positive. Again, all the duel stuff is great. All the, like, just acknowledgement of that and getting a brief explanation of sort of how the duel characters are back. I have questions here or there, but for the most part, the episode wasn't too confusing. Like, my only real question is, why is Miki calling Tsukiko mom? And that's basically it. For the most part, this episode was like all sort of Tenchi OVAs are right now. Like, it's just talking. We got some interesting stuff here and there, though. Like, I make fun of, like, or like I was down a bit on the, like, everybody's just farming stuff, mainly because of how, like, they talked about it as if it was some special thing they're doing, but it's just regular agriculture. But seeing them sort of settling into the village is nice. We've got, 4 episodes left. This is only episode 2. We have yet to get Paradise War stuff, besides a brief mention last episode. So I'm hoping that'll be brought up next episode, because we see the main character from Paradise War in the OP. I don't think there was an OP in episode 1. The OP in this is pretty neat. I don't know if it's very memorable, but it's alright. But yeah, episode 2, pretty good. I like this one more than I liked episode 1, simply because of all the duel, basically, fan service. I like duel a lot, so that really upped this episode for me. But for the most part, it is a pretty standard episode of modern Tenchi OVAs, where it's just a lot of exposition with some stuff here and there, but you're not going to get like action or anything like that. And it doesn't feel like OVA 2, where yeah, it was slice of life, but like every episode was like just a little story on its own. That's not really happening here. This is going to be a 6 episode story. So it's not really a good show to like just pick out a favorite episode and just rewatch like OVA 2 was. So episode 2, pretty good. Like the duel stuff. Still not sold on Tsukiko. They got 4 more episodes to make me want her to be in Seina's harem. But yeah, it was good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.